Yes, my friends, welcome back. Can't spend too much time today with the intro because so many stories were released today that I have to discuss every single one. So I'm going to keep this pace very fast and very snappy. So if you guys want to see more news stump formatted videos like this, hit that like button of course, and share your thoughts and opinions in the comments too. So my friends, hope you enjoy, and without wasting any more time. So we start things off with positive news, as today we officially announced the signing of Ugochukwu on a 7-year deal plus the option to extend by a further year. He signs for €27 million, and here's what our directors Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winsley had to say after this announcement was made. They say that we're delighted Leslie is joining Chelsea. He is an impressive young player who has already made his mark in League 1. He has a huge amount of potential, and we know he is going to continue to develop and improve. We are pleased that he has joined us in the States and that he will be able to integrate with the squad very quickly. Now, on the club site, they describe him as a ball-winning midfield player who is very effective in possession. At a young age, at 19 years old, he's picked up 67 League 1 apps, and he made his debut as a 17-year-old against Paris Saint-Germain when he first made his mark. Now, we still have to decide whether he'll be sent out on loan to Strasbourg or whether he's set to remain with us, but here's what our manager in Pochettino had to say after this announcement. He states that today is going to be his first training session with us. He is a young and talented player. We don't know if we have the possibility for him to play tomorrow, but we will assess him. Now it is time to assess him until the end of the transfer window and see if he is going to be with us or go out on loan. So it seems like if he does leave for Strasbourg, this will be on deadline day or in the final moments of this window. So of course, congrats to Leslie for signing for us. Big hopes, big aspirations around him, and I'm really excited to see what he does in these training sessions. And now, my friends, let's discuss the latest small updates today surrounding Moises Caicedo. And if any of you guys are worried about our opportunities to sign him, don't worry, my friends. Caicedo is still our priority, number one. And as you guys know, right now, we're trying to complete a double raid at Brighton by signing both Robert Sanchez and Moises Caicedo. Now, when it comes to Robert Sanchez, some very interesting news, but in terms of the transfer fee we're hoping to finalise at Brighton, we're not looking to make things public at all. That gets you thinking quite a bit, right? Why are we keeping the transfer value secret? Surely this must be in relation with our efforts to sign Moises Caicedo. Now I'm feeling quite optimistic around our chances to sign both players, and in terms of Caicedo, when it comes to this new boards, like targeting their number one targets, these guys don't give up easy unless they've explored like every single possibility. Now with Enzo Fernandez revealing today in his press duties that the objective for next season is to actually challenge for the league, if you want to mount a title challenge, you need to have Caicedo alongside Enzo Fernandez. It really is that simple. And as we found out today, Caicedo's agent has now travelled back to the States. He's holding further talks with Brighton, and he's hoping to engineer a move in the States right now. Now currently Brighton are still maintaining their position, but we are getting small hints now that it seems like they're starting to open up a bit more over the possibility of Caicedo leaving, and that's encouraging us to come back with another bid that hasn't been presented right now, but the new bids obviously will be more than the 80 million that was rejected recently. So it's starting to feel like we could wrap up Caicedo hopefully in the next few weeks. I'm hoping this gets secured before deadline day. I don't want it to be longed out too much, and Brighton have to sign a replacement, don't they? So let's continue to watch the space. So now, my friends, let's continue on by discussing more midfield targets. And as we learned today from the Times, Tyler Adams of Leeds United and Edson Alvarez of Ajax, these two players are part of the midfield target list for this summer. And these guys would be additional signings made on top of Moises Caicedo. And this is where things get quite interesting. For me, I think this kind of suggests that Conor Gallagher's future here would basically be over because there wouldn't be enough space to have him plus two more midfield players signing for us. Now let's start first with Tyler Adams. Of course, he had a great debut season in the Premier League. He was Leeds United's best player in my opinion, and he does have a relegation release clause now, which makes him a very enticing option due to the fact that it would basically cost no money. He has tons of European experience, international experience, Champions League experience as well too, and in terms of his debut season, he ranked really high, and as you guys can see on screen, here's like a comparison between him and Moises Caicedo, and as you're seeing, Tyler Adams isn't too far away, and Consider the fact that he's generating these stats playing for a relegated Leeds United team that were a bit of a mess tactically last season. In terms of affordability, he could be a very interesting option to turn to if you want to get more reinforcement in our midfield. And now let's discuss Edson Alvarez. Now, as we can't forget, last year deadline day we had our efforts turned down to sign him, and that was because Ajax couldn't sign a replacement in time to actually allow him to move on. But I'd probably have to say, even though Ajax were a bit mid last season, Alvarez was their shining light. And I think there's one thing in particular about Edson Alvarez. His experience that he's been accumulating at Ajax has actually made him a much better player. And right now, you could argue that Edson Alvarez is one of the top defensive midfield players in Europe right now. And last season, you guys are seeing the percentiles on screen, right? He's ranking in 99th here, 95 there, 99 everywhere, and he's become a lot more complete as a defensive midfield player. Every season he improves and gets better. He's a player that's got even better now at opening possession and kick-starting attacks. He completed the most carries in the Eredivisie last season by pushing Ajax up the field. That's a great quality to have in our team. He won the most successful tackles at Ajax, and here's one thing that I care about when we target defensive midfield players. Do these guys play for possession teams? Because that's when it really matters for me, because then that makes more sense in terms of it translating to our team if these guys perform in systems like that. He works very hard off the ball. He breaks up play extremely well. He's a bit of a dirty player. He definitely is. I think he picked up like 9 or 10 yellow cards last season. He has a mean streak, but sometimes you need to have that. And as you guys are seeing on screen right now, here's a bit of like a statistical comparison between him and Rodri of Man City. Alvarez is very strong aerially, and I think since 2021, I read that he scored the most headed goals in the Eredivisie from attacking set pieces with 6 goals. That is a facet we can add to our team. I had some worries that physically, aerially, are we looking a bit weaker? Some of our rivals, they have some monsters in their team, and we need to match them if we're playing against them. But I think Alvarez is showing now that not only is he very reliable in terms of build up and pushing your team up the field, the guy is excellent off the ball. He's great aerially. He's complete defensively, and I think at 25 years old now, this is the right time for him to move on and sign for a top team. Could we possibly see Alvarez and Caicedo signing for us? As I keep saying, let's continue to watch this space. Next up, let's discuss the latest updates surrounding Axel Disasi. Very quick, but as we learned yesterday, he was set to fly to London to complete his medical. And the great news is, today he has finalized his medical, so you're expecting him now to fly up to the States, join up with the squad, of course do all his press duties, and hopefully we get the official announcement of Axel Disasi signing for us tomorrow morning or afternoon. He's set to sign a 5-year plus 1-year deal. Very well-rounded defender, great experience too, a French international, but you'd imagine that now that we're set to sign him, this will spell the end for Trevor Chalobah, with Inter Milan coming back in again by offering a loan move with an option to buy. Let's see how this plays out as this window goes on. And now we move on, and I'm sure you guys were expecting to hear some Kylian Mbappe updates, some brief updates today, but Paris Saint-Germain are expecting us now to come in and make a bid. We know that Paris Saint-Germain owner and Al Khelafi and Todd Bowley have already held official direct communication surrounding a deal. Ideally, Paris Saint-Germain want to sell this guy quite quickly. They'd love to not sell him to Real Madrid after Real Madrid and Mbappe have been conspiring behind the scenes to engineer this final year in his deal, which would allow him to leave on a free in the summer. It seems like if Madrid want to sign their man, they must come and make a move now, and I guess we're all actively waiting to see what type of offer Real Madrid make. Now, they need to sell players first, and this is where I'm going to find things very fascinating as this window is going on. It has been reported that Madrid are hoping to make a move for Mbappe as the window comes to an end to further put pressure on Paris Saint-Germain to sell Mbappe for a reduced fee. And obviously that makes sense, because if they don't sell him in this window, they're going to lose him for nothing, and they must earn some money back on the incredible amounts of money that this ownership has invested in Mbappe. Today we learned that Barcelona had a few attempts to sign Mbappe turned down. they hope to offer some players in exchange, with guys like Rafinha, Ousmane Dembele, and even Javi being linked with moves in return. It doesn't really make too much sense for me, to be fair with you, but that was rejected by Paris Saint-Germain, who want to earn big money from this deal. So let's see how we respond now. I'm really curious to see, knowing the fact that we don't have Champions League football, how strict we are in terms of complying with FFP. What type of financial package could we even create to possibly entice Mbappe to come and sign for us? I'm sure with our ownership, these guys are scheming up something beautiful now to at least make an offer and try and make things work. So let's see how things play out as this month continues on. And now, my friends, let's discuss the latest updates surrounding Mohamed Kudus and Michael Olise. We start with Kudus first, and we actually discuss Ajax, because Ajax actually hijacked the move from West Ham by signing Man City's really talented winger in Carlos Borges. Now, they've signed him for around 70 million. The player now is set to go to Ajax now to take his medical before he gets officially announced and presented. And you might be wondering, why am I bringing this news up? Well, as I said in the previous video on Kudus, Ajax won't sell Kudus unless they bring in a replacement first. So now that Carlos Borges is set to sign, this now frees Kudus the opportunity now to leave Ajax. And of course, we know that we agreed personal terms already with the player. Arsenal must sell players first, and unofficially, we are the favourites right now to sign him. So this presents a big opportunity for us to swoop in, make a move, and try and wrap this deal up. However, it might not be the last time that we hear about Ajax and Chelsea doing business, because reports in Holland state that Ajax is still expressing and holding discussions around Hakim Ziyech. They need some experience in their team. Of course, Ziyech was Mr. Ajax during his time there. There was some controversy in terms of how Ziyech endorsed his friend and Promes, who now got arrested for doing all the madness with you know what the story is around him. I'm not gonna risk getting demonetized by bringing it up. So Ziyech and Ajax is definitely one to watch, and reports in Holland also state that Ajax are showing above average interest now in trying to sign Ian Maatsen from us. Obviously, Pochettino has stated that he's a big admirer of his intelligence, his versatility, and what he's doing, and I would be disappointed if we lost Maatsen to Ajax. I think we have to keep this guy. I think Maatsen is more likely to stay, because it seems like Lewis Hall now could be set to get a low move this window, which I've been calling out for, saying this is the best move. Obviously, we have to sell Cucurella. Maatsen's shown his versatility across different positions, and we outright refused to negotiate with Newcastle when they came in to make an offer for Lewis Hall, because we told them this guy's a serious talent, so Hall is one to watch out for. But my friends, let's now end things by discussing the latest updates around Michael Olise. Not necessarily the best updates, but obviously Man City, they need a replacement now for Riyad Mahrez. And let's be serious, I think if there was one guy that would be the perfect replacement for Mahrez, that is going to be Olise. Now, Roy Hodgson today in his interviews mentioned the fact that it could be very difficult to keep Olise here this season. Palace have recently just signed Franco. Obviously, they offered him the opportunity now to stay in the Premier League and play. We told this guy to go out on loan to Strasbourg, and that didn't really entice the players, so I don't blame him, to be fair with you. But in terms of Olise, even though this guy is currently out with an injury, he is seen as one of the premium, best talents, best young talents in the league. I mean, I think 2-3 goals plus 11 assists, one of the best creative talents in the league as well too. A part of me thinks, okay, if Pep Guardiola is moulding Olise from like infancy, wow, who knows how he could be like in the future. But let's now bring the story back to us, and in terms of how we're seeing Olise, we're actually seeing him as an option to play in behind the striker, to play as that creative number 10. Now, obviously, Olise can play on the right hand side of a midfield 3, on the right wing, and in behind, playing in that 10 role too. And obviously, he already agreed terms with us and is interested in the move. So right now, I'm guessing it's now between either Olise or Mohamed Kudus. I'd be very surprised if we sign both, but would I rule it out? I'm not too sure, but I just don't see it making sense like that. So that's the latest updates around them. But my friends, we still have 2 more stories. And we start with a rumor. I mean, I would say like more of like a confirmed rumor. You know, there's like a few like notable social media accounts. I think the guy's name is called Nathan Gissing. I don't know too much about him, but he seems to be quite reliable and has like a good reputation online. And today, he announced the fact that Angelo Gabriel has impressed Pochettino enough that Pochettino wants him to remain for next season. And for me, that really excites me. Now, Angelo Gabriel isn't just any ordinary teen. already at a young age, he's played over 129 games. That's crazy experience to have for such a young age. And a part of me is also thinking, if Santos remains here, I think it would be good for both Angelo and Santos to remain in this country together, settle down together, of course, keep that friendship here, and just like ease the process of these guys, of course, adapting to life in the Premier League and in London as well too. So for me, Angelo definitely impressed us a lot in terms of his silky first touch, the control, the body balance shifts. Like, he has that elite potential dribbling skill in the making. I think we can all see that. He's showing some really nice creativity, nice fast combination link-up plays when he's cutting inside. Pochettino has been giving this guy direct instructions to follow, and Angelo clearly is listening and following them. And for me, if Pochettino can just like keep his eye on Angelo Gabriel and actually work on him this season, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but I actually really like this news, and I think Angelo and Madueke on the right hand side, that could be the play for next season. So my friends, let's now end things with the final update. And we have some news surrounding Andrey Santos. I wouldn't worry too much. Currently, Serie A club in Salernitana, as well as 6 other unnamed clubs, have expressed interest to sign Andrey Santos on loan. Now, I think we all kind of know that Pochettino is that impressed by him that Andrey is set to remain for next season. And as I mentioned in the previous story, I think that when you have young guys like this, keeping them together so they can adapt together in the same environment in the club and country is the best way to develop these guys in the future. But don't be surprised that other clubs will try to take advantage of like this uncertainty around what we're looking to do in midfield now. We're signing young guys that could go out on loan, or could say we could sign 1, 2, maybe even 3 more midfield players. We don't know what's currently happening right now. And obviously other clubs are more than entitled to strengthen themselves because they have their own ambitions for the following season. I think it's more realistic that Caicedo gets a loan move for next season. I think he could really benefit from that. Talks that Reading FC, of course, Enzo Maresca, the former Palermo player, of course, Pep Guardiola's former assistant, he is now the manager at Leicester City. But now that Caicedo has already played championship football with Reading already, he's not going to learn anything more by going back to that division. I think he has to play in a top division somewhere, either in this country or somewhere abroad, but I don't see how this would benefit him from getting opportunities for the following season if he took this loan spell at Leicester City. So I think Santos remains, Caicedo gets a loan, and then we see what happens with Ugo plus the other guys we hope to sign. So I feel like I'm talking like at such a fast pace, like I'm even forgetting to breathe at times. So my friends, that is the news done for today. I'm sure there's going to be more videos like this, and if you like this type of style of news video, let me know in the comments. And of course, it's even better if you show your support by hitting that like button. So my friends, I'm EFC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow morning with the Dortmund preview for our final preseason game. Are we going to see Ugochukwu play? It's going to be very interesting to see, and I'm going to let you guys know that from tomorrow I've got this like event in London, so I'm not going to be about in the evening time, but I am going to be back, of course, to give you guys the match review for our friendly game against Dortmund. So I told you guys I got you covered this preseason. I wasn't here to lie about that. So my friends, I'm EFC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.